Today, so in the last class, we have discussed about object-oriented programming and its different features related to object-oriented programming. Now, in today's class, we'll try to understand another concept of programming that is called error and exceptions. Now, what happened when we write some sort of program? So we might get some errors, right? So definitely, if you are proficient in the programming language, but even if you want to solve some of the problem and while writing the code for that particular program, so definitely at some sort of point you might get some sort of errors, and based on the error, what you do is you rectify the codes. And there will be different error that you can get. You might get syntax error, you might get runtime error, or you might get semantic errors. So what are these type of errors in the programming language? So we got errors in the language when we do some sort of mistakes. Either this mistakes is based on, let's say, we don't know the syntax of something, or we have done some silly mistakes, like we need to have brackets, we need to have some comma, or we are thinking of calling a function with two argument, but it actually required three argument. So all these things are the problem that we might face, and based on the error that will be thrown by the compiler or interpreter, we get to know that which error it is, where your line, in which line there is an error. All those things will be shown to you. So error actually being categorized into three different categories. So the first error is the syntax error. We all know what we mean by syntax error, right? So the error where the code is not a valid language or the valid Python in this Python cases. So here it is very easy to fix if we know the syntax of any language. So if we get some syntax error, it is very easy to rectify it, and it is very easy to operate it. So this syntax error is the general type of error that we used to get. Is a general errors that we usually get while writing the program. Second type of error is nothing but runtime error. Runtime error means, what do you mean by runtime error? It happened not during the compile time. So at the compile time, it will be executing without any problem. But when we give some sort of input to our program, so based on the input, it will generate some sort of errors. And these type of error comes into the category of runtime error. So the error where syntactically valid code fails to execute, perhaps due to invalid user input, sometime made easy to fix. That is called runtime error. And this runtime error we got during the execution of the program, and mainly the runtime error depends upon the user input, and generally because of the user input we might get some sort of errors. That is your runtime error. Now let's get to another error, which is called semantic error, or it is also called logical error or the logic error. So let's say we are in between to solve any problem that is given, and we misunderstood the problem. If we misunderstood the problem, even though my program is running fine, there will be no runtime error, but I'm not getting the expected output, which I'm intended to get. And these type of error could be occur due to the semantic error or the logical error. Let's say you have been told to find out the factorial of a number, and in the logic you might instead of making multiplication, by mistakenly you have done the addition. So what happened here is logically, the syntactically your program is okay. There will be no syntax error. There will be no runtime error, but you might not get the expected output. So these type of error is called semantic error, and it is very difficult to actually track down what the error is. So you have to go from the first line of the program and you have to read one by one and you have to apply your logic, whatever logic you are intended to apply in that particular code is. So you have to think of what logic I have applied, whether my logic is correct or not. So all those things you have to see by your own. So as I'm telling you, there will be no any external entity in the system which will tell you that you got these type of error. So that comes into the category of semantic or the error because of the logic. Now here in this particular lecture, we are going to see runtime error. Okay. So we are going to see runtime error. So what I told you about the runtime error. So runtime error is nothing but syntactically correct code, but based on the user input, the error might occur. Let's say some of the error are listed here. So some of the runtime error. If you have done any code in Python, you will be likely come across runtime error. They can happen in a lot of ways. So there is some examples. Let's say if you try to reference an undefined variable. So if you have some sort of variable, let's say q, and you haven't defined the variable and you want to print it, so definitely it will give you error and say it will say that q is not defined because you are using a variable which is not at all defined and you are saying that you want to print the value which is in the particular variable. So this is one runtime error. This is another runtime error. What is that error is you want to add integer with the string. So that we have seen that it is not at all possible. You have to explicitly change the type of one either integer to the string or yeah. So that type of modification you have to do explicitly. Then only you can do the addition operation in between the integer and the string. Now another type of error is divide by zero error. So any integer or any number, if we are dividing by zero, it will take you into an infinite loop. Means it cannot give you the value, right? So division by zero is another type of runtime error that may occur. Or let's say you have a sequence of elements and you want to find out the element which is beyond the sequence of the element. So you have a list, and in this list you have only three locations. So 1, 2, 3 values are there. Based on that, you have the location 0, 1, and 2, and you are looking for beyond that particular location. So definitely it will give you the error. So it says that because the indexing is out of the range of the list. So the indexing is what? 0, 1, and 2. If you are putting it 3 also, it will give you the error because 3 is also not there. 2 is there, 0 is there, and 1 is there, right? So these type of errors are called runtime error. And what is the meaning of error handling? Okay, so that we'll see in the later on. Note that in each case, Python is kind enough to not simply indicate that error happened, but to spit out the meaningful exceptions that includes information about what exactly went wrong along the exact line of code where the error happened. Having access to meaningful error like this is immensely useful when trying to trace the root of the problem in your code. So what it is saying that this runtime error can be detected by your compiler or by your interpreter. So it is very easy to rectify those errors. But as I told you, the runtime error generally occur due to the user input. So here, what is the user input? User input is the value where it is going beyond that. Here, what is the user input? User input is two integer, but the denominator is 0. That is the error. Here, what is the user input? The user input to add or concatenate two integer or two string, while we are giving one integer, another string. So all these are nothing but the error that can occur due to the user input. So how we can find it? We can find it the error just to run it, and based on the error, we'll get the what type of error it is. So it is a divided by zero error, which is the error listed in the interpreter. So here we have uh, index error. Here we have type error. So we have different type of errors, right? Here we have name error. So we have different type of error, and these errors are nothing but runtime errors. Now let's see how we can handle those errors. What is the meaning of handling those errors? The meaning of handling those errors is, even though that error exists, my program is not going to throw any error, and it will execute as a normal program. So how we can do that? We can do that using the try and except block. So we have two type of clause or two type of blocks that we'll use, that is called try and except. Now this is going to handle the runtime exceptions or runtime errors. That is called exception handling or runtime error handling. What is the meaning of handling? Handling means, even though my program having those errors, but with those error also I am going to get the output. That is called handling those errors. We are not rectifying it. It says that even though you have the error, you have the runtime error in your code, but you can able to run the program. So how it will be done? It will be done using the try and except clause. So let's see what do you mean by try clause and what do you mean by except clause. So the try clause here will, whatever the code that we'll put inside the try block will be the code which may give you the exception, which may give you the exception. Why I'm saying it may give you the exception? Because it depends upon the user input. If user doesn't give the input, which will not provide you the runtime error, so your program should run. If a user giving you the input which is throwing some sort of runtime error, then your program must run and tell you, means leave that particular code and tell you that you get that particular type of error, but still you are getting the output. So it will happen due to the try and except. So inside the try, we'll put those code which may give you the error. Inside the except clause, we'll put the messages which will tell you about the error. So if try block execute, except will give you the output. Means if try block is having the error, then except will give you the message of the error. If try block doesn't have any error, the except is not going to run it. So I think it is clear. Inside the try block, if you are getting any error, except clause is going to run. If in the try block you doesn't have any error, then except block is not going to run. That's all. So here you can see what we are doing. We are just printing some string, and definitely it is not going to give you any error. So here in this particular code, except is not at all running. So except is not running here. So only we are getting the output as this gets executed first. Note that the second block here did not get executed. Why? I told you why it is not executed, because in the try block we are not getting any error. Once we'll get any error in the try block, then except block is going to run. It is because the first block did not return any error. Let's put the problematic statement in the try block and see what happened. So we have another program which will take the value uh, x, and x value is nothing but some integer divided by 0. So if you are doing that, so what will happen? Definitely this code is not giving you any error, but this code will give you error. So this code will run, it will give you the output. Once it will come in this particular code, it will generate the error. And what is the error? The error is divided by division 0 error, 0 division error. So if an error occurs, so definitely except is going to run and it will give you the message like something bad happened. Getting it? So while seeing the output, you can actually see that your program is executed without any error, as well as you are getting the message or the warning message that there is some problem in your code, but still you are getting the output. That is called handling of it, handling of the error. Here we see that when the error was raised in the try statement, in this case, 0 division error, the error was caught and except statement was executed. Yeah, that we all know. Convey, this is often used is to check user input within a function or another piece of code. So instead of try block writing the actual code, what we can do is we know that what type of error can be occur. So if we are thinking or if we are expecting that user might give you the wrong input, so instead of executing that particular code, before that we can check whether the input is correct or not. So that particular statement actually we can put into the try block. So that also we can do. So here we'll see one example. In this example, there is a function which is called save divide function. It will take two integer value a and b, and it will return a divided by b. If this particular try block will give you any type of error, then it is going to return a value which is 10 to the power of 100. So here you can see when we call the save divide function with 1 and 2, it will give you the output 0.5 because 1 divided by 2 is nothing but 0.5. But when we do like this, divide by 0, so this particular try block is not going, this particular try block is giving you the error. That's why this particular except is going to run. So it is a subtle problem with this code, though what happened when other type of exception come up. For example, this is probably not we intended. Let's say if by mistakenly user has given the input and one integer, another character. So what will happen? This is also error, but this is not divide by 0 error, right? But still this particular, because we haven't mentioned the error here, which type of error it is going to catch all the type of error. And if any type of runtime error occur, it will give you the output like this. So can we differentiate between errors? Yes, we can differentiate between error, but we should know what type of error it is. Divide an integer with a string can raise you type error, right? So if in the code you doesn't have try and except block, so definitely it will give you the try error as output, which our over Zulus code caught and assume that 0 division error. For this reason, it nearly always a better idea to catch exception explicitly. Now, what we'll do is we try to understand that which type of error we are just expecting. Do we expecting divide by zero or do we expecting type error? Because this input will give you the type error, but what we are expecting this type of error. So instead, not defining the exceptions, we'll define the exceptions. Now, by giving this particular type of input, because the error is defined, you will get get the exact match of the exception that has been got, and then it will give you the output. But this type of error means it is not zero, it is a character. So these type of error is not at all defined. Only we have division by zero is defined. So this will give you the error, and the error will be the type error, which is a runtime error. It is going to give you. So if you want that both the type of error will be handled, so what we have to do? So let me write the code here. Okay. So let me see whether we can write this type of code or not. Let's say one error that we are having is that division by zero. So we'll just print it. Uh, okay. And let's say we have another type of error, which is type error. So can we say that the type error is also caught? Let's see and run it. Let's see. First, I will have safe underscore divide, and we'll put 1 and 0. Yeah, so zero division error caught because it is divided by zero error, right? Let's say we'll write another code where we are putting a character here. Yes, so both the error is going to be caught here because we have defined the code for both the error. So if we are getting both the error, we'll get the exceptions. Now here you can see that that exception has been handled and we are not getting error, right? We are not getting error from the compiler. My code is executing right. So this is how your try and except clause is going to work. Now let's see another concept in the exception handling that is called rising the exceptions, or just explicitly saying that the error occur, or you can make your own error, right? We have some inbuilt error, but you can make your own error using rise keyword. So we have seen how valuable it is to have informative exceptions when using parts of Python language. It is equally valuable to make use of informative exceptions within the code you write, so that user of your code can figure out what caused their error. The way you raise your own exceptions is with the help of rise statement. So if you want to raise your own exceptions, like there are some inbuilt exceptions and the name is also there, right? But if you want to create your own exceptions, you can do that. So you have to use the keyword rise. You need to have error or the name of the exceptions and the message given by that particular error. So once you do that and you run it, so you'll get runtime of error. It is not executing, right? It is giving you error. And what error it is? It is a runtime error that we have defined. And what message it is? My error message. If you see other error given by the compiler, so it look like the same, right? What it is giving you? The error type and some sort of output based on the error. Here also you can see these are our inbuilt errors, right? Inbuilt runtime error, the error name and the output of the error. In the same way, here also we can create our own error or we can rise our own error. So that is only possible with the help of the keyword rise. Now let's see one example to have a Fibonacci function. We'll create a Fibonacci function to generate the Fibonacci numbers. Now, what is Fibonacci numbers? Now, Fibonacci numbers will add up its two previous numbers and generate the next number, right? So, this is the Fibonacci uh, series. So, we'll create a function called Fibonacci and we'll put the number on that. Number means what should be the length of your Fibonacci series. So that length we have given and we have defined an empty list. So L is nothing but an empty list. We have two variables A and B, which tells us that two initial number or two genesis number 0 and 1, which is going to generate our series. Now we have a loop. Loop says that the length of L, it is less than N. So the length of N is less than N will do all those things. Means we have to generate the value in the Fibonacci series up to the size that we provide. So up to the size it is going to run. And what it is going to run? The A, whatever the value of B is will be given to A. And whatever the value of A plus B is given to B. And we are going to append A. So this is how it will be done. And we'll return the value of L at very last. Here, if we run this particular program, so what we required some sort of input. Let's say we are calling that particular function here. And we want to put, let's say, the 5 numbers. We want to have 5 number here. Okay. So it is giving you what is the length of my number series. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this is how it will be done. And your number is starting with 1. Number is starting with 1. So 1, 1 plus 1, 1 plus 0, then 1 plus 2, 2 plus 3 in that. Now let's see, instead of positive number in the input, I have given some negative number. Then what will happen? Definitely it will give you some sort of error, right? Now how we can handle those error with the help of creating your own error. So for that, what we do is we'll see whether my input is less than 0 or not. If my input is less than 0, I'll raise the error. And I'll say that N must be non-negative. Otherwise, my program is going to execute as it is. Now for this particular value, it is giving you the output, right? If we'll execute this, for this value, it is giving the output. But for this value, which is the negative value, it will give you the exception that you are given. Getting it? Now, if we'll not rise any error, and if we'll try to run the program, so the first one it is going to execute, but for the second one, you can see it is not giving you any error, but it is an error, right? That we know as a programmer that if we'll put the negative value, how it will give you the value, because always it is going to check the value. Now to handle those things, we have put it here the exception. So I think you must understand that what is the significance or what is the use of this rise keyword here to rise some sort of errors. that we are expecting or we may expect into the program. Now let's try the same thing with the help of try and accept, so that that error will be handled in a positive way. Means we are getting the output, but the error also will be handled. So what we do is we have this value, this particular function that we have executed, and will put the calling of the function inside the try block. So if we'll give the value minus n, definitely this particular code will generate the error. Yes. So if what error it is generating, it is the error that we have defined, that is value error. So if we are getting value error in this particular code, it will give you the output bad value, need to do something else, right? So this particular value is going to print. So first, this will not give you any error, but this is going to give you the error. And what error? Value error. So that's why the accept is going to be executed. So let's see. We'll try to do this with the help of this number, right? Yeah. So if we'll put some positive number, do we get any error? No, we'll not get any error. Instead, we'll get the value. But here, if we'll put some sort of negative value, definitely it is going to give you the error. But the error is not going to give you here. Instead, the error has been handled with the help of try and accept block. So I think you understand the concept of try accept, which is for error handling, and rise to generate your own error. Let's go into the deeper concept of exception and try to understand. I have written here that we are not going to see the full functionality of it, but some of the functionality that may occur in your program will we are looking here. Let's say we can have the this particular statement, which is zero division error, as a small value also. And instead of writing zero division error, we can have an alias of it. Means the division zero division error can be stored in ERR, and whenever we put ERR, it is going to replace with zero division error. That also we can do. Defining custom exceptions. So we can define our own exception. Okay. Rise is one way to rise the exception, but to define the exceptions, we can have other thing that we can do. So here, Python, we know that Python is a object-oriented language, is a fully object-oriented language. And whatever error that you have seen are defined in some sort of classes. So here also we define a class with some name. Let's say here it is my special error, and this particular class will take some value. And there is nothing in the body of this particular class. And it is going to rise, or it is going to give you some sort of error. And the error is my special error. And here is the message, whatever message you want to put. So when you run this particular code, this is going to create the error, right? This error will be created by this particular statement. If you will not put this particular statement, this will not give you any error. Getting it? Because we are rising the error that we have just created, will give you that particular output. Now let's do that with the help of try and accept. The same thing. Can we catch that type of error here? So here in the try block, we are writing the error that may occur here, that is my special error. Here we are putting some message there. So informative error message here, whatever information that you want to put here, that is coming here. Okay. And because this is the error that has been occurred, it will be catch here and it will say the message do something else. So this is how it works. So we are not getting the message given by or raised by this particular error. Instead, this error has been handled and run in a and run. We are able to run that particular program without any error. This is how you're creating a new error. Now let's see some more concept of try, except that we have seen. In this, we have else and finally. Now, else and finally is another clause that we'll use in the code to handle the exception. Let's see the basic structure of, we know what is the basic, what is try, what is except. Try, inside the try, we try to put the code which may give you the error. Except, when try will generate any error, except is going to execute. If try is not going to generate any error, then else part is going to execute. Getting it? So here in this particular code, because try is not generating any error, else part is going to execute. And what is finally, whether you are executing the code, these two code or not, whatever your situation is, finally is going to execute all the time. So the finally is the clause. If you are getting the exception, it will execute except. If you are not getting any exception, else is going to print, but finally is going to print all the time, whether you are getting the exception or you are not getting the exception. So sometime we need to write some sort of code which may reset the values of our program. So for that, generally we use finally clause. So finally clause is going to, let's say we have some sort of problem in which we have the precondition and then we have, if precondition is satisfied, it will go to one block of code. If we are getting into one block of code, so definitely we should execute some exit block of code. So you can see the definite code that has to be executed into the program, we have to put into the finally clause. So the finally clause is useful when we want to run the code and we say that we always want to run the code. So for those type of code which we want to run into the program, we have to put into the finally. So that's all related to the exceptions and runtime errors. So in this particular lecture, you have seen what are the different type of error we have, and runtime error are called exceptions. And these exceptions could be handled using try except clause. We can raise our own exceptions using the raise keyword. We can create our own exception using the class in which we will create. And we have seen try, except, else, and finally clause also related to the exception handling.